All right, well, Demetrious, another title defense here, but a unique build-up to this one. Watching the reality show unfold, you couldn't talk about your opponent, you couldn't do interviews and stuff like that. I just wonder what this has been like for you. It's been kind of relief, a fun change for you? It's been kind of weird. What's it felt like?
Nothing really different, to be honest with you, because I knew who the winner was on August 10th, and I typically don't talk about my opponent even when I know who the guy is, So no really different build-up. Maybe build-up for the fans and the UFC, just announcing it, Wednesday night. But other for me, shit stayed the same.
It's funny because it does seem kind of more low key, and I almost kind of wonder if you enjoy that. Sometimes I feel like not necessarily you don't like the spotlight, but you'd be just fine just kind of doing it like this.
Yeah, absolutely. This is how it started for me, doing it as an amateur fighter. You'd be like, hey, you're fighting, this date. The guy is 5-0, and make sure you're there in your own weight. And I'm like, sweet, sounds good. So the same thing for this. I knew I was fighting Tim. And I could have won an MMA hour, and talked about what. Started to talk about, especially since you didn't know who the opponent is. But a little bit different, if I did know who the opponent was and the world knew, I would have did more interviews, but there was no point going around doing media tours. It was like, so, what's new with you? Same shit, man. I'm just training and trying to get better.
I don't think I've ever actually heard of that program, by the way. But no, talk about Tim Elliott. You have known for a couple months that he was going to be your opponent. Break him down for me. What do you see? Do you feel like he was the most deserving of the bunch to get there?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I don't want to say deserving. He earned it. He fought. Obviously, it's totally different. With the UFC, how they went away and they wanted to go this format, which is fine. That's what the UFC wants. That's totally fine. My job is to make weight and fight, and that's it.
Did anyone else on the show catch your eye? I know you're always kind of evaluating potential future opponents. Did anybody else kind of catch your eye?
Not for future opponents, but, talking to Joseph, he said Eric Shelton, had a real good turnout. I believe, when they gave me the list, I was like, okay, Tim Elliott or Demetrious Page is going to win it. Eric Shelton was a dark horse of the show, young kid, athletic, almost beat Tim, had Tim's back multiple times, almost had to choke in. So I think once he's able to, get his, find himself a camp, not even find himself a camp, because these guys jumping he's training with him, he's training with his mama, he's training with his mama, he's training with his daddy. Just get himself settled in and into a nice place where he's able to trust his coaches, then he'll be good to go.
As far as Tim, what do you think he brings to the table? Are there anything that he does that maybe you haven't seen before, or just something specific you have to watch out for?
I think the biggest thing, I think everybody knows what he brings, is his awkwardness in mixed martial arts. He's fought the best of the division, Dotson, Joseph, Elliott Bagatinov. So, just going out there and fighting and see what he wants to do and just take it to him.
This would be title defense number 9 for you. You've made it clear you're going for the Anderson Silva record. How far do you want to set it out there before you start, thinking about other opportunities? If there's money fights at other weight classes, if there's if you want to start taking challenges at bantamweight. How far do you want to get that mark out there before you feel like that's a record that's going to stand?
I don't know, because I don't really keep track of how many title defenses I have. I just don't. Only time people talk about it is when you just mention it. I'm at home, I got 8. That's what's up. I'm just at home doing my thing. But for me, obviously it's beating that record, and after that, then I'll decide what I want to do. If the money is right, or if I'm like, I don't really feel like taking more damage in my career. I only get one brain and one body, so I'm like, why don't I just stay here and just keep wrecking house if I'm able to do that.
I know you don't want to look past Tim at all, but a lot of people are curious. Are you looking at Benavidez and Cejudo as the number 1 contender fight? You've beaten both guys, but they're definitely the top of the division. Are you considering that a number 1 contender fight?
Man, it's hard. At the end of the day, that's not my job. It's for the UFC, and the UFC wants to make the most money as possible. So if the UFC is like, we're going to do Joseph versus, DJ3, and then let's say Joseph loses. Do they be like, okay, hey, Joseph, you lost 3 times. You keep kicking all, the contenders' butt. We're going to need you to go to 135. Or, what do you do if you lose for a 3rd time? It's almost like Claudia Gundel and Joanna Jacek. Claudia Gundel is very good. She can beat, some of the prospects. That could probably, make for a good story when it comes time to fight for the title, but they can't get past Claudia Gundel. We'll see what happens, with Henry Cejudo and Joseph Benavidez. It's going to be a great fight. If Henry wins, then he can argue, he goes, hey, I got caught with the liver shot, I had him down, I was wrestling good, and I was like, if anybody could beat him, Mexican can.
Well done. That might be the tagline right there. Does it make motivation difficult for you? I wonder. When you're kind of having to go back a second time through the division, a second time through the roster. Do you have to battle complacency at all? Is there ever an itch to be like, hey, I've done this, I've got this?
No, not at all. I just, I'm more focused on just keep on getting better as an athlete, and then whoever the UFC calls and says, hey, this is your fight, I'm like, all right, sounds good.
What's your prediction? How does this thing go down?
I never gave predictions, so I was an amateur. So why would I start now?